imagine, if you will, the perfect Friday night out. You've just shaken off this grueling, long work week.
Oh, yeah. You can literally feel the stress just kind of physically lifting off your shoulders as you clock out.
Exactly. You go home, you put on your absolute favorite outfit, you do your makeup just right, and you are ready to meet your best friend.
Right. It's time to let your hair down.
Yeah, and there's a sense of safety there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you are stepping out into the neon glow of the city, but you're doing it with your person.
You have a built-in safety net.
But what happens when that simple fun night out, that perfectly normal expectation of weekend relief, is actually a coordinated trap?
It's a terrifying thought.
It really is. You think you're just going out. You think you're gaining this vibrant new friend in the process.
Right, but tonight, we are investigating something entirely different.
Yeah, we are tracking a meticulously executed social interception, minute by minute. We're acting as investigative reporters on the ground of a psychological heist.
And it is a heist because it subverts the very foundation of social trust. I mean, we rely entirely on our established friends to act as our anchors,
Oh,
right?
totally. Especially when we navigate chaotic environments like a club.
Exactly. And when that anchor is not just removed, but actively weaponized against you to deliver you into a compromised state,
That's predatory.
it is. We are looking at predatory social dynamics of the highest order. We're doing a forensic breakdown of how a target is identified, isolated, and ultimately delivered into a highly vulnerable situation.
And for this deep dive, we're looking specifically at the source material from the Fruit Salad Adventures. Specifically Season 1, Episode 1, called The Sweet Seduction of Memphis Avenue.
Right.
We're tracking the timeline of a wholesome Strawberrina, and a wildly chaotic figure named Potato Keisha. We have all the facts.
The entire timeline of the night.
Right. And we are going to lay out exactly how this happened.
Yeah.
Because before we can even begin to understand the ambush by Potato Keisha, we really have to look at the psychological priming.
The setup, the decoy that set the whole night into motion.
Exactly. We have to look at Strawberrina's so-called best friend, Tamarind. Because none of this happens without Tamarind laying the groundwork.
So let's look at that initial interaction.
Yeah, so Strawberrina is exhausted. Her leaves feel heavy after a long shift. She just wants to rest.
Which is a completely normal biological response to a long week.
Right. But then Tamarind approaches her and explicitly calls her a dull girl. She literally says, all work and no play makes a strawberry a very dull girl.
Wow.
And when Strawberrina questions this, Tamarind just plays it off as a joke. She calls her bestie, and she insists that she comes out to the Wacky Produce Club that night.
See, that phrase, dull girl, that is the skeleton key to this entire operation.
Really, just that one phrase.
Oh, absolutely. What we're looking at is a concept known in manipulative circles as seasoning for the skillet.
Seasoning for the skillet. That sounds so sinister.
It is. Tamarind's insult, it wasn't just a throwaway comment between friends. It was a highly calculated, tactical move designed to create an immediate artificial insecurity.
I mean, think about how the mind works, right? We all have a self-concept.
Exactly. Strawberrina views herself as responsible, hardworking, but, still fun.
Right.
So by labeling her as dull and overly focused on work, Tamarind introduces this massive cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
She creates a sudden deficit in Strawberrina's self-image.
It's almost like she manufactured a psychological itch that Strawberrina suddenly felt desperate to scratch.
That's exactly it.
She created a problem out of thin air just so she could offer the Wacky Produce Club as the only acceptable solution.
That is the exact mechanism. I mean, if Tamarind had simply walked up and said, hey, do you want to go to a club tonight?
Strawberrina would have said no.
Yeah.
She was already dealing with physical fatigue.
Right. She likely would have declined. She would have gone to her safe, quiet apartment, locked the door, and gone to sleep.
But the insult fundamentally changes the calculus of that invitation.
Yes. It is no longer just a question of whether she wants a night out. It's a challenge to her identity. It becomes a test.
So the only way for Strawberrina to definitively prove she isn't dull is to go.
Exactly. To defend her identity as a vibrant individual in the eyes of her peer group, she has to comply with Tamarind's request.
Has you ever had someone do that to you? Where they casually drop an insult disguised as concern.
Oh, it happens all the time.
And suddenly you find yourself bending over backward to prove them wrong.
Ugh.
It's so insidious because Strawberrina is totally blind to the manipulation here.
She just thinks her friend wants her to have a good time.
Right. But there is a detail from this initial encounter in the source material that is just incredibly disturbing.
The giggling.
Yes. When Tamarind makes this pitch for the club, she is exhibiting what the record describes as Uncontrollable giggling.
Which is such a massive red flag.
Strawberina dismisses it at the time.
Yeah.
She just thinks, oh, my girl is hyped for a night on the town.
Sure.
But knowing what happens next, that giggling feels incredibly sinister.
In deception analysis, that kind of inappropriate emotional leakage is a textbook manifestation of duper's delight.
Duper's delight. What is that exactly?
It's a well-documented psychological phenomenon. When a manipulator is actively setting a trap and they realize the target is falling for it, they experience a sudden surge of adrenaline and dopamine.
Oh, like the thrill of the hunt.
Exactly. It's the thrill of successfully deceiving someone right to their face. The cognitive load of maintaining the lie is temporarily overshadowed by just the sheer arrogant joy of pulling it off.
So Tamarind knew.
Tamarind knew exactly what was waiting for Strawberrina at that club. She couldn't contain the physical manifestation of her knowledge. The giggling was the trap visibly vibrating before it snapped shut.
I see Tamarind's entire setup as a kind of social Trojan horse.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Yeah, she used the guise of a safe, established friendship to get Strawberina to lower her drawbridge, right? To step out from behind her own defensive walls.
Her safe, quiet apartment.
Exactly. Strawberina literally calls her girlfriend and bestie in the material. She trusts her entirely.
But the trust is completely misplaced.
Right. But, okay, part of me wants to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Okay, lay it on me.
Is it possible Tamarind just flaked on the plans? I mean, we have all had friends who are just chaotic and terrible at time management. Does the uncontrollable giggling definitively prove she knew a full-blown ambush was coming?
To answer that, we really have to follow the timeline into the immediate aftermath of Strawberrina's arrival at the club.
Okay, let's look at the sequence of events.
Right. So Strawberrina goes home, she freshens up, she puts on her favorite glossy seed liner, and she heads into the neon glow of the city.
She walks into the VIP lounge of the Wacky Produce Club, and the bass is so loud it's rattling her stems.
She looks for Tamarind's brown shell in the crowd.
And she waits. 10 minutes pass.
Then 30 minutes pass. Tamarind is completely absent.
Yeah, this isn't just someone running late because they couldn't find parking.
No, the deliberate absence at the VIP lounge creates a highly specific, necessary vacuum. I mean, if Tamarind had simply flaked, she would have tacked it a terrible excuse.
Right. Like, oh, I'm so sorry, my tire went flat.
Exactly. But the complete radio silence is tactical.
Leaving Strawberrina entirely alone in a highly stimulating, unfamiliar, overwhelmingly loud environment for exactly 30 minutes.
It is the required incubation period for the next phase.
The 30-minute wait is brilliant in a terrifying way. Because, at minute 5, you're just annoyed.
Yeah.
At minute 15, you're checking your phone constantly.
You're wondering if you got the time wrong.
Right. And by minute 30, standing alone in a club with the bass pounding, you're experiencing full-on sensory overload.
You feel awkward.
You feel abandoned. And you just want an anchor. You just want someone to validate your presence there.
You've hit on the exact physiological response. I mean, the loud music and the flashing lights, they elevate cortisol levels.
Stress hormones?
Right. And the feeling of social rejection from being stood up, that just compounds the stress.
So her brain is essentially short-circuiting.
Basically, yes. Her prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain responsible for critical thinking and threat assessment, it's being completely overwhelmed by the emotional and sensory environment.
She is desperate for an anchor.
She is isolated in a disorienting space. She is primed and ready.
Which means leaving her alone wasn't an accident at all. It was the exact required environmental condition for the replacement to arrive.
The interception.
Yes. Just as Strawberrina reaches her absolute breaking point. I mean, she is literally about to grab her classy Goyard bag and head back to the safety of her apartment. The interception happens.
Right on cue.
A shadow falls over her table. She looks up, and staring down at her is Miss Potato Keisha.
The timing is surgical. Keisha waits in the wings until the exact moment of maximum psychological vulnerability.
The peak moment of abandonment and disappointment.
Exactly. That's when she makes her grand entrance.
And we have to talk about the visual facts of this entrance because it is cinematic and, frankly, it's a little surreal.
The contrast is extreme.
So extreme. You have Strawberrina, wholesome, conservative, wearing her neat seed liner, holding her high-end designer bag. She looks like someone expecting a normal, sophisticated girls' night out.
And then you have Keisha.
A potato rocking sky-high, flashy platform heels right in the middle of a chaotic, hookah-filled club.
Don't forget the sunglasses.
Right. She is wearing her signature sunglasses indoors.
Yeah.
She radiates this pure, magnetic, chaotic
She
energy.
doesn't just walk up either.
No, she literally slides into the exact booth where Tamarind was supposed to be sitting. She physically occupies the space of the missing safety net.
That physical dichotomy is absolutely crucial for the psychological overwhelm. Keisha brings an energy that completely dwarfs Strawberrina's neat conservative presentation.
She takes up space aggressively.
Very aggressively.
And then Keisha delivers her opening lines, and they are chillingly informed based on the source material.
What did she say?
She looks at her and says, "You look lonely, sweetie. Tamarind told me you needed to loosen up. I'm Keisha."
Wow. Okay, let's break that down word by word. Because Keisha's opening volley is a masterstroke of social hacking.
Social hacking, I like that term.
It really is. She accomplishes 3 distinct things in 3 seconds. First, you look lonely, sweetie.
Right.
This establishes an immediate dynamic of pity and faux maternal comfort. She is actively acknowledging Strawberrina's vulnerability.
The fact that she was stood up.
Yes, and offering herself as the immediate antidote, she is saying, I see your pain and I am here to fix it.
It's totally disarming. She's naming the elephant in the room so Strawberrina doesn't have to pretend she isn't having a terrible time.
Exactly. Second, she says, Tamarind told me.
Oh, that's the kicker.
It is the most dangerous part of the lockpick. By invoking the trusted friend's name, Keisha completely bypasses Strawberrina's stranger danger alarms.
Because in any other context, if a highly aggressive, chaotic stranger slid into your booth at a loud club, your instinct would be to leave.
You'd grab your bag and run. But Keisha isn't framing herself as a random person. She is framing herself as an authorized representative of the best friend.
She transfers Tamarind's social credibility directly onto herself.
Yes, and the third part? You needed to loosen up.
Which perfectly echoes Tamarind's dull girl insult.
It does. It reinforces the exact insecurity that brought Strawberrina to the club in the first place.
While simultaneously offering Keisha as the cure to that dullness. It's brilliant and evil.
It confirms the conspiracy without Strawberrina even realizing she's the victim of one. Tamarind didn't flake. She provided a full briefing.
She handed over the psychological dossier on Strawberrina's insecurities.
And Keisha's using that intelligence immediately.
So what happens next is an absolute whirlwind. I mean, within 5 minutes of sitting down, Keisha morphs into the instant bestie.
She moves so fast.
She really does. She flags down the waitress. She buys a massive round of premium organic shots. She perfectly matches whatever energy Strawberrina is trying to put out.
Completely making her forget that she was miserable just moments before.
Exactly. Keisha physically drags her out of the booth and onto the VIP dance floor.
And suddenly, Strawberrina is dropping it low.
Spinning around under the neon lights, doing things a wholesome strawberry does absolutely not normally do on a Friday night.
We are witnessing a textbook application of love bombing.
Love bombing. You usually hear about that in romantic relationships.
Right. It's a tactic predominantly used in high control groups, cults, or highly toxic one-on-one relationships to quickly manufacture artificial intimacy.
To make you feel closer than you actually are.
Exactly. The normal process of building trust takes time. You share small vulnerabilities, you observe how the person reacts, you build a foundation.
It's a slow burn.
Love bombing bypasses that entirely. By flooding the target with intense affection, lavish gifts in this case, the premium organic shots,
Right.
and relentless positive reinforcement, the manipulator overwhelms the target's emotional processing.
It's like a neurological shortcut.
Oh, yeah.
Keisha is hyping her up, treating her like absolute royalty, like the queen of the produce aisle.
It is chemically intoxicating. The brain is being flooded with dopamine from the sudden validation and the alcohol.
And oxytocin from the physical proximity and the dancing.
Yes. Keisha is chemically rewarding Strawberrina's brain for compliance. Every time Strawberrina does something slightly out of character, like dropping it low on the dance floor.
Keisha rewards her with massive validation.
Exactly. It conditions the target to seek the manipulator's approval.
It reminds me of a hostile corporate takeover.
How so?
Well, but disguised as a friendly merger, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Keisha didn't just join Strawberrina's night out. She aggressively liquidated Strawberrina's previous plans.
Absorbed all her social capital.
Yes, and installed herself as the sole board member and CEO of Strawberrina's social life. She essentially bought out all the shares.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
And nothing illustrates this hostile takeover better than the massive group photo incident in the source material.
Oh, the group photo. It is a brilliant piece of social engineering.
Right, so let's set the scene. The club is an absolute blur of flashing lights, heavy bass, and hookah smoke.
Total chaos.
Keisha is pulling her by the hand through all these different VIP sections. She turns, yells over the music, "We need memories, Brina!
Notice the instant nickname too, Braina.
Oh, good catch. Forced familiarity.
Yeah.
So she whips out her phone, turns on the flash, and physically shoves Strawberrina right into the dead center of a massive crowd for a group photo.
Just shoves her in.
Literally. And suddenly, Strawberrina is surrounded by completely random fruits and vegetables she has never met in her life.
Bananas, broccoli stalks, mushrooms.
Totally strangers.
They are all crowding into the frame, cheering, holding up their drinks. Strawberrina's laughing, throwing up peace signs, really swept up in it.
It's a manufactured moment.
She notes later in the transcript that in that specific moment, she felt so cool, so accepted, so incredibly alive.
She genuinely believes she had finally found her tribe.
Yes, tried is the exact operative word here. And it shows how effective the illusion of consensus really is. Keisha physically shoves her into the center of that frame to create a visual and spatial representation of belonging.
But let's look at the reality. Strawberrina does not know a single one of those people.
Not one.
The bananas, the broccoli stalks, they are merely props in Keisha's theater production.
They are essentially extras on a movie set.
They are. But by orchestrating this specific photo, Keisha artificially fabricates a sense of deep, instantaneous social inclusion.
Human beings and our anthropomorphic subjects here are hardwired to seek safety in numbers.
We want a tribe.
Exactly. Strawberrina's brain misinterprets the adrenaline, the loud music, and the chaotic physical closeness of the crowd as genuine connection.
And Keisha provides her with visual proof, a literal photograph that she is popular, accepted, and decidedly not dull.
This false feeling of acceptance makes Strawberrina deeply, intensely loyal to the person who supposedly unlocked this new world for her.
She is completely spellbound. I mean, the rest of the night is a blur of partying.
As it usually is in these cases.
Strawberrina even admits she might have had one too many drinks, maybe smoked a little too much hookah, but she felt Keisha was unequivocally the most fun friend she had ever met.
The trap is working beautifully.
They exchange numbers, they promise to link up again, and they part ways. The blitz of the club was a total, unmitigated success for Keisha.
But as wild as that night was, the club was really only phase one.
Right. Because the neon glow of the VIP section is a controlled environment.
The real isolation requires removing Strawberrina from her own territory, her own safe haven, entirely.
Which brings us to segment 3, the morning after.
The transition from the chaotic, artificially stimulating environment of the club back to the sobering reality of the morning is where the real test of a manipulator's control happens.
Can they maintain the grip when the lights come up?
Exactly.
And the next morning, reality hits hard. The illusion is gone. Strawberrina wakes up in her apartment with a pounding, aggressive hangover.
Ouch.
Her head is throbbing. She doesn't want to look at the sunlight, let alone her phone. But Keisha will not let up.
She relentlessly blows up Strawberrina's phone.
Call after call after call until Strawberrina finally breaks down and answers. And Keisha is operating at a level 10.
All right.
She uses a very specific bait. She calls to hype up an exclusive VIP party she was invited to that night, and she insists Strawberrina has to be her +1.
Notice how the dynamic has already shifted here.
What do you mean?
Keisha is demanding access to Strawberrina's time less than 12 hours after they met.
That's a huge overstep.
Mm-hmm.
But Strawberrina actually tries to set a boundary here.
Good for her.
She says, "Oh no, not me." She explicitly cites her hangover and her banging headache.
Huh.
She says she is physically unwell and declines the invitation.
Have you ever been that sick? Where the thought of putting on shoes, let alone going to a party, makes you nauseous.
Oh, absolutely. You just want your friends to understand and leave you alone. Just look it off.
Right. A normal, healthy friend hears, I have a pounding headache, I can't go out, and their immediate response is, I'm so sorry, drink some water, let's catch up next week.
Right. Normal friend behavior.
But Keisha fundamentally refuses to accept no as an answer.
She views the boundary not as a limit to respect, but as an obstacle to obliterate.
This begins a psychological war of attrition.
She keeps chipping away at it.
She leverages the artificially intense bond they forged the night before. She pivots immediately to a classic high-pressure FOMO tactic.
Fear of missing out.
Exactly. She emphasizes the exclusivity of the event. She tells her there is no other party like this. It's strictly VIP. You can only get in if your name is on the list, and she has the list.
So she is weaponizing exclusivity against a target who is physically compromised.
The physical compromise is such a huge factor. Her brain is literally depleted.
Right. Physiology dictates psychology in moments like this.
A hangover severely lowers cognitive resistance. Her brain is dehydrated. Her body is dealing with the toxic metabolic byproducts of alcohol.
She is craving relief relief and rest.
It requires a tremendous amount of mental energy to maintain firm psychological boundaries,
To keep saying no to someone who is relentlessly energetic and persuasive.
especially when you are physically suffering. Keisha knows she is attacking a weakened fortress. She tests the boundary, applying continuous pressure until Strawberrina makes a fatal compromise,
She downgrades her definitive no to a maybe.
which is all Keisha needs.
She tells Keisha that if she feels better later in the day, she might give her a call. And that crack in the door is exactly what Keisha exploits.
It's the opening she was waiting for.
Because as Strawberina slowly starts to hydrate and feel a tiny bit better as the day drags on, her curiosity grows.
Curiosity that Keisha expertly planted with the FOMO tactics.
Yes. So she eventually calls Keisha back. And this leads to what can really only be described as a 9:00 p.m. home invasion.
Which really is an invasion.
Keisha doesn't just say, "Great, meet me at the venue." She physically shows up at Strawberina's private home.
And she doesn't come empty-handed.
No, she brings a special drink. Keisha tells her this specific concoction will take away the rest of the hangover and make her feel brand new.
A mystery cure.
Strawberina drinks it, notes in the source material that it is surprisingly delicious, and miraculously, her headache vanishes. She feels great.
See, this is a massive escalation.
Really? How so?
If we look closely at the implications of this mystery drink, we are seeing the transition from social manipulation to direct physical and chemical control.
Oh, wow.
By providing an unknown substance that instantly and artificially alters Strawberrina's physical state from pain to feeling brand new, Keisha establishes herself as the ultimate provider.
She's the cure.
She is no longer just a fun friend, she is the gatekeeper to physical comfort. She cements a deep subconscious reliance.
But I have to step in here and push back on the mechanics of this, because I think a lot of people listening to this deep dive might be shouting at their speakers right now.
I'm sure they are.
By curing the hangover, Keisha essentially removes the one physical barrier that was keeping Strawberina safely anchored to her couch. But isn't Strawberina partially responsible here?
It's a fair question.
I mean, she ignored every single instinct of self-preservation. She let a wildly chaotic woman she met less than 24 hours ago into her private sanctuary.
Right.
And she willingly drank an entirely unknown, unlabeled mystery concoction just because she was told it would cure a headache. Where does the sophisticated manipulation end and personal responsibility begin?
It is the most common question asked in cases of exploitation and coercion.
It just seems so reckless.
Yes, factually, Strawberrina physically took the cup and drank it. However, assessing that action in a vacuum ignores the intense psychological grooming that occurred over the preceding 24 hours.
Okay, that makes sense.
Keisha did not walk up to a stranger on the street and hand them a drink. She systematically bypassed Strawberrina's threat detection systems.
She used Tamarind as a trusted shield first.
She love-bombed her into a state of chemical compliance at the club. She provided a false sense of a protective community with the group photo.
Right.
And she established herself as a highly confident, authoritative figure who holds the keys to social acceptance.
So by the time the drink is actually in her hand, the person holding it doesn't register as a threat anymore.
Exactly. When someone has methodically dismantled your defenses and positioned themselves as your caretaker and your best friend, taking a drink from them doesn't feel like a risk.
It feels like accepting a favor.
Keisha engineered the exact environmental and psychological conditions where Strawberrina would willingly, happily drop her own final boundary.
She hacked her trust.
Yeah.
She found the back door into the system and bypassed the firewall entirely.
Precisely.
So now Strawberina is feeling better. The headache is gone, she's compliant, and she's ready to go. Keisha immediately moves to sever her physical independence.
Because you can't truly isolate someone if they can just walk out to their driveway, get in their car, and leave.
Exactly. The logistics of this next phase are incredibly aggressive.
Right.
We're moving into the transportation trap.
The logistics of physical movement are always the most critical phase of any extraction, abduction, or socially engineered isolation scenario.
Control the transport, control the target. So Keisha insists they take an Uber to the party instead of Strawberina driving her own car.
What's her stated reasoning for that?
Her reasoning is that they, quote, might have so much fun they can't drive later.
Framing it as a safety measure? Clever.
Right, but Strawberina pushes back on this. She explicitly states she isn't planning on drinking anything else that night, so driving herself should be perfectly fine.
She's trying to hold on to her autonomy.
But Keisha insists, waving off her concerns, applying that same relentless pressure. So they get into the Uber. Step 1 of the trap is complete.
Strawberina's personal vehicle, her guaranteed independent private escape route, is left behind in her driveway.
By removing the personal vehicle, Keisha ensures that if Strawberrina wants to leave the party later, she cannot do so on her own timeline.
She cannot leave under her own power.
She will have to rely on external third-party transport.
Oh.
Or, far more likely, she will have to rely on Keisha to arrange it.
It fundamentally shifts the power dynamic from independent adults to a dependent caregiver relationship.
But leaving the car at home is just the setup. What happens inside the Uber is the real sabotage.
It gets wild here.
It does. Once they are enclosed in the small space of the rideshare, which is a neutral transport, Keisha takes things to the extreme. She pulls out a joint.
Inside the Uber?
Inside the Uber.
Okay.
And the facts detail it very specifically. She lights up a fat and long blunt right in the back seat.
Wow.
They smoke it, and it makes the entire enclosed vehicle smell lit. The Uber driver, completely understandably, is furious.
Of course he is. That's his livelihood.
Right. He pulls the car over to the side of the road and forces them to get out. They are evicted from the vehicle and told they have to walk the rest of the way to the party.
See, we cannot view this as a mistake.
You don't think it was just her being reckless?
No. It is not an act of mere carelessness or partying too hard on Keisha's part. This is step 2 of the transportation sabotage, executed flawlessly.
So she wanted to get kicked out.
Lighting a massive blunt in a stranger's rideshare is a guaranteed 100% effective way to get kicked out of the vehicle. Keisha intentionally sabotaged the neutral transport.
I picture this sequence exactly like a heist movie, where the crew cuts the phone lines and the security cameras before breaking into the vault.
That's exactly what this is.
By forcing them to get kicked out and walk, Keisha ensures Strawberrina is physically disoriented. She is out on the street in an unfamiliar neighborhood in the dark.
She doesn't have her car.
She doesn't have the Uber. She doesn't even know the exact address of where they're going. She is entirely reliant on Keisha to navigate them to the final destination.
And she is physically incapable of easily turning back without wandering the streets alone.
And we must integrate the chemical element into this physical disorientation.
Because the blunt doesn't just get them kicked out.
No, it induces a profound physical effect. The record states the blunt makes Strawberina feel woozy.
Woozy, that's a very specific word.
This isn't just a nighttime stroll. It is a forced march under the influence of an unexpectedly strong, unknown narcotic substance.
And that woozy feeling triggers an explicit moment of panic for Strawberina, doesn't it?
It does. Her internal alarms finally start ringing loudly. She realizes something is deeply wrong with her body.
Threat detection is coming back online, but it's too late.
She stops and asks Keisha what kind of weed they were smoking. She demands to know what was put in that blunt because she is genuinely not feeling well. She's asking for help.
And Keisha's response?
It's bone-chilling. Keisha doesn't tell her the strain. She doesn't apologize. She looks at her and says, "Hush, and everything will be okay."
Gosh, and everything will be okay.
It is so gross to read.
It is the ultimate, definitive dismissal of a victim's concern. Notice the infantilizing language. Hush.
It's extremely patronizing.
It demands absolute compliance. And it entirely invalidates Strawberrina's internal warning systems. Keisha is not answering the very urgent question about what chemical she just introduced into her system.
She is just commanding silence.
At this specific moment on the street, the psychological transition is complete. The trap is locked.
Strawberrina is fully isolated.
Her independent escape routes are severed. She is chemically altered to the point of impairment.
Her vocalized concerns are being actively silenced by her handler.
And she is entirely dependent on her captor for her next step. She is arriving at the destination exactly how Keisha wants her to arrive.
Which brings us to the final destination. The exhibition, the house. The trap is about to snap shut completely.
This is the climax of the setup.
They finally walk up to the house and head inside. Keisha introduces her to her friends who are hosting, Pineapple Lisa and Mushroom Marv.
But Strawberrina is struggling at this point.
She is physically struggling to stand. The chemical cocktail of the mystery drink from earlier and the lace blunt is completely taking over.
She's barely conscious.
She asks them if there is somewhere she can just sit down because she is feeling incredibly out of it. Pineapple Lisa, who presents as very sweet and accommodating, guides her into the living room.
And sits her down on a specific blue chair.
Yes, the blue chair.
See, the blue chair is not just furniture. In the context of what is about to happen, it acts as a staging area.
A staging area.
Yes,
Yeah.
It is the focal point of the environment they have specifically prepared for her arrival.
And the voyeurism of this environment becomes blatant almost immediately.
How does Strawberrina describe it?
Well, Strawberina, even in her woozy, impaired state, observes Pineapple Lisa and Mushroom Marv. They don't stay downstairs to host or talk to people.
Where do they go?
They grab glasses of wine and retreat upstairs to a balcony overlooking the living room.
Overlooking the blue chair.
Yes, they just stand up there, drinking wine, watching everybody else at the party from above.
Strawberrina thinks it's strange.
Her instincts are trying to warn her.
She wonders why the hosts aren't mingling. She explicitly notes that they're watching everyone downstairs, quote, like we were the main show, or like we were the main attraction.
This realization synthesizes the entire night's true purpose.
It was never a party. No. The exclusive VIP party that Keisha used as bait during the morning phone call wasn't a party in the traditional social sense.
It was a curated exhibition.
Exactly. Pineapple Lisa and Mushroom Marv aren't hosts welcoming guests. They are an audience taking their seats.
And Keisha didn't bring her new best friend to a party to have fun. She procured a performer for an exhibition.
By guiding Strawberrina to the blue chair, incapacitated, chemically vulnerable, and unable to leave.
They have quite literally delivered the main attraction to center stage.
It's horrifying when the illusion drops and the reality of the room comes into focus.
Because right after Strawberrina realizes she's the main show, she begins to nod off. Her body is shutting down entirely.
And the chemicals are peaking.
She starts questioning far too late what was actually in the drink or the weed Keisha gave her. And then the climax of the isolation occurs.
The assault.
A cucumber man approaches her chair. The facts of the event from the source material are explicit here, and we must report them clearly as they happened.
Right, impartially reporting the text.
He approaches her, opens her legs, and begins performing oral sex on her. Strawberrina states it happened so incredibly fast, she didn't know what was going on.
She was completely blindsided.
She notes that she didn't say no, she didn't complain, and she even notes a sensation of enjoying it in the physical sense.
But there's a major caveat to that.
A huge caveat. She explicitly states she didn't know who the stranger was, she didn't really know who she was for a moment because of the drugs, and she didn't know what was really going on. She says it all seemed like a dream.
This sequence represents the absolute deliberate blurring of reality.
And the destruction of consent.
Yes, through extreme intoxication and spatial disorientation. The fact that she didn't say no or actively complain is entirely consistent with a state of profound chemical incapacitation and neurological shock.
Her brain just couldn't process it.
The sheer speed at which the violation happened bypassed her brain's ability to process the threat or vocalize an objection. She has been physically, chemically, and psychologically reduced by Keisha to a state of passive reception.
The perpetrators rely on this paralysis.
It's a hallmark of facilitated assault.
And the most glaring question is, where is her instant bestie during all of this? Where is the woman who showed up at her house, promised her the time of her life, and told her to hush and everything will be okay?
Keisha is nowhere to be found.
Well, Strawberrina blinks in and out of consciousness in the blue chair, and through the haze, she spots Keisha across the room.
What is she doing?
Keisha is sandwiched between a broccoli and a banana. She is engaged in her own physical activities. She isn't looking at Strawberrina at all.
Her job is done.
She has entirely abandoned Strawberrina to the predatory environment she so carefully cultivated and delivered her to.
Keisha's total disappearance at the critical moment of violation finalizes the betrayal.
It's the ultimate abandonment.
The illusion of friendship, the love bombing, the protective tribe, it is all dropped instantly because it is no longer operationally necessary.
The asset has been delivered to the buyers.
The handler steps back.
There's one final detail about this encounter that I really want to explore with you because it is deeply unsettling. And I think it speaks to the core of how these traps function.
What's the detail?
As the violation's happening, the cucumber man looks up at her and tells her, "Baby, it's all right. I gotcha. Just relax and enjoy this, and everything will be all right."
Wow.
It sounds almost comforting in the moment. Strawberrina even whispers "okay" back to him. How does a predator using faux comfort finalize the trap when the victim is already incapacitated?
Faux comfort is the final, darkest nail in the psychological trap.
How so?
When a victim is utterly disoriented, terrified, chemically altered, and experiencing a severe boundary violation, their brain desperately seeks an anchor.
Just like the club earlier.
Exactly. It seeks any semblance of safety to latch onto. The cucumber man knows she is scared and confused. He uses a low, soothing tone and words of reassurance.
I gotcha. Everything will be all right.
He deliberately hijacks her nervous system's desperate need for safety. It pacifies the target. It prevents a sudden spike in adrenaline that might trigger a fight or flight response,
which could result in screaming or struggling.
which would disrupt the exhibition for the voyeurs upstairs.
Pineapple Lisa's and Mushroom Marv.
Exactly. It is a highly manipulative tactic that coerces the target into surrendering to the violation by framing the assault as a safe, taken care of experience.
That is sickening.
It forces the victim into a state of psychological submission because their brain is tricked into accepting the predator as the protector.
It is a total trajectory of destruction. When you look at the entire timeline, it is
It
staggering.
really is.
I mean, we went from a wholesome strawberry, tired after a long week, putting on her favorite glossy seed liner to meet a trusted friend for a drink.
To an isolated, chemically altered, physically compromised, entirely dependent participant in an underground produce exhibition.
If we synthesize the mechanics we've discussed today in this deep dive, the stark contrast between the two friendships, Tamarind and Keisha, reveals a highly sophisticated, seamlessly executed tag team operation.
It is a relay race of exploitation.
Tamarind set the trap. She used her established trust to deliver a deceptive invitation and a targeted insult to destabilize Strawberrina's self-worth.
She created the vacuum.
And Keisha then intercepted the target and executed the trap with overwhelming forced intimacy.
She moved far too fast for Strawberrina to process the escalating boundary violations until all avenues of escape were completely severed.
And it was far too late. Which brings us to the relevance for everyone listening right now.
Because why spend all this time breaking down the timeline of the fruit salad adventures, right?
Right. Because while the characters might be anthropomorphic produce of potato in platform heels, a cucumber man, a giggling tamarind, the psychological tactics are chillingly real.
They are very real. They happen in clubs, in dorm rooms, and in social circles every single weekend.
This entire narrative is a masterclass in recognizing when a social situation is no longer organic, but is being entirely managed and manipulated by someone else.
You have to be vigilant.
We have to be incredibly wary of the instant bestie who floods us with unearned affection.
We have to look out for the person who aggressively tries to override our stated boundaries.
Whether it's about staying home with a headache, refusing a drink, or driving our own car, they always do it under the guise of making memories or helping us loosen up.
When someone consistently and systematically removes your options for independence, they are not your friend. They are your handler.
Knowledge of these mechanisms is really the only defense against them.
By recognizing the clinical signs of love bombing, understanding how a false tribal consensus is fabricated through things like group photos,
and identifying the subtle sabotaging of physical escape routes, we can protect our own boundaries in chaotic social environments before the trap snaps shut.
that's the key, seeing it before it happens.
And that leaves us with one final lingering thought for you to mull over as we close out this timeline. We know, based on the documented evidence, that Tamarind deliberately set Strawberrina up.
The giggling proves it.
We know Potato Keisha intercepted her, systematically isolated her, chemically altered her, and delivered her to Pineapple Lisa and Mushroom Marv's exhibition.
It was a perfect operation.
But a perfect operation requires practice.
It does.
It makes you wonder, was Strawberrina the first wholesome friend Tamarind handed over to Keisha?
Oh, that's a chilling thought.
Or is there an entire ecosystem at the Wacky Produce Club filled with former dull girls who just wanted a fun Friday night, completely unaware they were being seasoned for the skillet?
It's entirely possible.
You think you are stepping into the neon glow for a night of relief with your safety net securely in place. But sometimes, the shadow falling over your table has been waiting there all along.